Hello, everybody. Geopolitical update. We're going to update from what happened last time. We have we have quite a bit to cover actually, and I just discovered something that's going to break open this entire war between Iran and Israel, and the United States, Israel, and Iran. Really, this information has not hit the mainstream yet, so in a couple of hours for the members I'm going to make another video explaining what that information is. You have to be an insider for the channel. I have to give information to the insiders because they are the people who keep this channel alive. So therefore they must get the inside information the moment that I get it. If you want to join the channel, highly recommended. Israel only has enough missiles for their Iron Dome defense system. Approximately 1 week left from today. They have exactly 1 week. And as I reported in the last video, at that point it was unsure whether Iran was going to be able to hold on and survive these heavy waves of attacks, especially after such a brutal preemptive strike by the United States and Israel on Iran to kick off the war, while Donald Trump and his administration were lying to everybody about peace talks, bamboozling. As people have been saying quite often recently, that the United States plays poker and tries to bluff everybody, while the East just plays chess and plays moves that you cannot defeat. And that seems to be what is happening here. There's not a lot of bluster coming out of the East. It's all coming out of Trump's administration. Now, with this new information that I have, I can confirm that Iran is going to be able to sustain this effort, and it is now a war of attrition, and that the new information that I have is that Iran's going to be able to hold up and sustain this battle far longer than Israel. Israel's going to run out of missiles within the next week. That was the only thing that changes from the last video to today's video, is that Iran has a far greater advantage than we knew after these brutal preemptive strikes. Iran, the game and the way to look at this is probably the Vietnam War. Because the Vietnamese, they dug a lot of tunnels, they had a network underground, and they were able to conduct guerrilla warfare. It's not exactly the same. I would say Iran is far more advanced than the Vietnamese were back then. Iran has help from some powerful countries, and Iran, from what I can see, with their manufacturing base, is going to have the ability to sustain this, and this is going to be the end of Israel. That's my understanding. It doesn't mean that that's how the game's going to play. We're looking, look, if we're looking at two teams playing a sport, basketball or rugby league or rugby union against each other, sure, one team could put together a great play and overcome the other. And the escalation dominance, my understanding, and that what most people understand is true, is that Israel has escalation dominance. The second rung from the top is that the United States will enter the war and just go all out. The other part of that is that they cannot do that because the United States is still kind of a democracy. It's not entirely run by these people. And so they have to go through the Senate, they have to vote on going to war with Iran. And this is why, up until today, we've had a lot of attacks, a lot of psyops, a lot of false flags. And that's why a lot of us are starting to think that there might be a false flag where the Israelis attack an American base, an American aircraft carrier, and then blame it on Iran to justify the United States entering the war as if Iran started it. Now that's highly likely. It's highly likely. I'd put over 50% percentage, over 50% probability of happening at this point. 60%. It's highly likely. Or Donald Trump, who thinks that he is a king, he doesn't think of it's a democracy at all. He thinks he's king of the United States. We'll just do it anyway. And that has ramifications for the West that we don't even want to know about just yet. So Israel possibly has enough missiles to last the next week. They don't have the manufacturing base. You know, Israelis focus on propaganda, mafia tactics to slander people, Epstein people, political warfare, infiltration, information, terrorist attacks. That's what they do. The man's man stuff, the stuff that the Diggers, the stuff that the Anzacs did, Gallipoli, you know, landing a whole bunch of Australians on, you know, on the beaches and running at machine guns, you know, playing rugby. That's what Aussies do. That's what built the British Empire, and that's what has basically been the backbone of the United States ever since. That's not what Israelis do. And they're at the front lines for the first time in forever. And this is why there's never been a Jewish state, is because they don't have real men like us. They have to infiltrate us, get us drunk, buy off our politicians, because they're not man enough to do it themselves. The Iranians are. They've had to build this country themselves. And if you have a look at what they've done quite well under terrible circumstances. They've been under sanctions for such an unbelievable amount of time. And what they've done is, instead of like Saudi Arabia, where it's just a resource-rich country that exports oil, what they've done in... There's a few flies here, wow. What they've done in Iran is they've had to diversify their economy into a strong manufacturing base. And so all over the Middle East, a large proportion of the products, manufactured goods in the Middle East come from Iran. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that. So most of the factories are in Iran. They have a large population. They have 90, almost 100 million people there. Cheap labor, manufacturing base. And what they've done is because of, you know, the similarities between the Vietnamese, the Vietnam War, is that they have these underground bunkers that are enormous. I've seen some photos recently where it looks like it's like 20 meters or 30 meters high underground. They've built these massive bunkers, and they have factories underground. Emergency factories that are already hooked up and running. And these factories are there to not only repair everything that Israel is going to destroy on the top, on the ground level, they've also got these factories to replenish all the missiles. The majority of the missiles that they've unleashed to date are old technology just to wear down Israel's missile defense system. And now they're manufacturing more. the preemptive strike destroyed a large proportion of their rocket launchers. I don't know the name of them. I'm not an expert in military stuff. Just that sentence should let you know. But I've been trying to keep myself up to date with what's going on. They have the ability to repair everything that's been destroyed and manufacture new things. And so they're in a situation where they can prolong this battle far longer than Israel can, which is, which says a lot. And so Israel, my understanding is that they've only got enough missiles for the next week. And Iran has the ability to then continue launching indefinitely. Whatever gets destroyed on ground level, they can then take underground, repair it, put it back up there. Almost the same as what happened in Vietnam. Now, something else happened. In Ukraine, they have now hit a point of no return when it comes to fighters, soldiers. They just don't have they hit a point, and that point happened, my understanding is, last week or the week before, just before Israel preemptively struck Iran. You can see how this is all connected now. What happened was, whenever, let's just say, a battalion of Ukrainians were killed, they would then go take some men, they'll get those vans and go kidnap men in Ukraine and send them to the front line. And they're replenishing all of them. But my understanding is that now they've run out of men to the point where there's no one else to send to the front line at all. And whenever Russia takes out a battalion, that's it. Gone. Done. And so now the North Koreans have now been hired, or they've got some, they've got an agreement with the Russians, and the North Koreans are now moving in thousands of construction workers, because there's large parts of Ukraine that are safe, and they're going to start rebuilding or building new military infrastructure and cement their place. So the parts of Ukraine that are already being taken, there's no way Ukraine's taking them back unless they're able to buy off, corrupt, or hold hostage through some sort of an Epstein sort of a deal, the Polish leadership, the Hungarian leadership, or some of these other countries that have white men that they want to murder at the front line against Russia. And my understanding is that they are having meetings with Viktor Orban in Hungary. Some dodgy things have been going on over there. I'm concerned that white men are just getting slaughtered worldwide, and it's the people that run our countries that are doing it. They've run out of white men in Ukraine. Ukraine's finished. And now they're going to try to figure out how to send more white men out of Poland or Hungary or one of these other Baltic states. Finland is totally corrupted and ready to enter the war. It is insane. There may only be one country left that white men control soon. And I'm already a refugee that had to leave Australia because of immigration and the corruption of the people that run my country. I'm a refugee. Like, don't misinterpret that. I'm an actual refugee. So hopefully the Polish and the Hungarians don't get corrupted by this evil cabal that run our countries. Fingers crossed they're able to. But Viktor Orban looks like he looks dumb. He looks like a dummy to me. And he looks like he's been taken by corruption. It's extremely concerning. You know, you had evil people like Michael Knowles and Dave Rubin, you know, these evil cabal people that are actually the real people conducting foreign policy in the United States. Um, so aside from that, Russia seems to be um, consolidating what they've taken, and they're going to be building with the help of North Korean uh, construction workers, the military installations, repairing things. They've got a whole, they got thousands of construction workers moving in as we speak to do all of this right now. Um, and so and so this war in Ukraine seems to be over. And this is why you've got the Germans, the French, the British having meetings trying to figure out how they can prolong this war. Because all of the money that they've invested, and that's what this is, all wars are bankers' wars, all of the cash that they've invested. And guys, in 2022, I uploaded videos explaining how this is going to play out. I did get a lot of people disagreeing with me in the comments that were saying that's not how it works. Well, that is how it's working now. I explained how the British paid off their war debts from World War II to the United States, and now they were looking for somewhere else. They were looking to get involved somewhere else, and that's where Ukraine came in, and Russia preemptively took that out. And then Russia, instead of taking a lot of land, what they did was they just held the line and destroyed all of the equipment that the West was sending there, knowing that we don't have the manufacturing base to replenish it. And that's why Russia didn't take all of Ukraine, and that's why Russia was playing cat and mouse with us, pretending that they were struggling sometimes. They would go into Kiev and then they'll come back as if like the Ukrainians were pushing them back when they weren't. And then you know, because we got a whole bunch of weak, pathetic men and women running Western Europe these days. They come out and they actually believe their own propaganda, thinking that Ukraine's winning. Next thing you know, we have all of Australia's military equipment being sent to the front lines in Ukraine. All of our bush rangers and all of our tanks and Abrams tanks, they're all in Ukraine right now. Australia's totally defenseless as we speak. And we don't have the ability to build new tanks. We just can't do that. And so we don't have anything left, and Western Europe has done the same. They were even finding Canadian equipment over there, and New Zealand, and you name it. It wasn't just British and French and German equipment in Ukraine. And Russia just was going through not only destroying parts of it, because the Ukrainians didn't know how to use the equipment we were sending them, but they also were just taking all of that equipment, repairing it, and using it for themselves. So the Russians basically made a profit, in a way, out of taking our equipment. And they're going to take part of the country. And the sanctions didn't work on Russia, made Russia stronger. And all of the money that we sunk into Ukraine, that we were hoping to win the war and then drag Ukraine into 100 years of debt, so that then we could rebuild Ukraine, move manufacturing over there, and then turn them into a country that can spend the next 100 years as basically a slave state that we control, and they can pay us back over the next 100 years. That's not going to happen. And so all of that money has gone. We lost that investment. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Western Europe and the cabal. But the billions of dollars that you sunk in there, you might as well have just bought a shitcoin some sort of cryptocurrency that just went to zero because that's what you did. And they've left the West defenseless in some respects. So that kind of covers how it's all kind of connected at the moment, which is very interesting. Very interesting. The fact that Iran has the ability to manufacture. The other information I'm going to upload into just a short little video for the insiders. Oh man, I found some juicy info. It's so juicy. And it's enough to change the war. The issue here is, okay, so this is the next part of it is that from the second I'm uploading this video, there's 2 US aircraft carriers in the Strait of Hormuz now, which is off the coast of Iran. And there's a third one that's going to arrive very soon. They're going to have 3 aircraft carriers. The problem with this is that aircraft carriers are technically useless and that a hypersonic missile can take them out. Now, the Strait of Hormuz, if all 3 of those aircraft carriers go into the Strait of Hormuz, right at the edge of the strait, Iran and its proxies have the ability to shut down and blockade all 3 aircraft carriers and trap them inside the Strait of Hormuz. And then what happens there is they are sitting ducks to hypersonic missiles. And then at that point, which could be part of the plan, to allow thousands of people to be murdered and have those aircraft carriers destroyed to justify the United States nuking Iran. That's where the escalation dominance comes from. There has been a lot of news out there that Putin has reached out to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a senile old pat just making up stuff at this point. Russia has told in multiple meetings, Putin has said, that he did not reach out to Trump at all. They have not had a discussion at all. They're not in talks, and Putin has realized that there's no use talking to someone who's going to lie in the meetings anyway, especially after what happened with the talks that were supposed to happen they did kind of happen in Turkey, and everything was just lies while the Ukrainians did what the Russians deemed to be a terrorist attack, not only on trains, but that drone strike on those, a third, I'm not sure how damaging it was, but they're bombers that were out in open, which was part of an agreement that the United States had with Russia to keep those bombers out in the open anyway. And the United States broke that agreement. They broke everything. They lied to Russia. So when Trump tells the people in the United States who still believe him that Putin's reaching out to have talks, it's just not true. He's not. There's no talks happening right now. And there's no talks happening with the Iranians either. So what's happening at this point is that both of these teams are going to do all of their talking on the battlefield. Also, just finally, they have said that the United States has what do they call it? Air superiority over the skies of Iran. My understanding is that is true, but Iran doesn't need to have superiority over their own skies when they're launching missiles into Israel and that none of those fighter jets can do anything about it except for target civilian targets. So this war of attrition can go on for quite a long time, and Iran can conduct this for quite a long time, and they don't need air superiority over their own skies if they're just coming out in random spots and then launching into Israel. Those fighter jets need to be scrambled and take out those places before they can launch them, but by the time they find them, they're already launched and then probably pulled back underground. And if they get hit, they'll get pulled underground and fixed, manufactured. No doubt they have manufacturing capabilities underground to just keep pumping out more of them anyway. And so that's really the game that's happening from my understanding at the moment. And that new information that we got, well, I found out today, oh man, that does change everything. It really does change everything. So that's my take on it at the moment, that Iran, after such a horrific preemptive strike on Iran, they are surviving quite well, and they have the capabilities to make this a war of attrition. That changes everything. And a few more things. We didn't get a rate cut today, which is a little bit strange. And also, gold hasn't reacted. Gold isn't pumping. So the people that have the cash, they're not pumping gold. Now, who are those people that have all the cash? Where's that cash coming from? Who controls the markets in the United States? The Israeli stock market pumped today. I need to try to figure out what that means, but I just thought I'd let you guys know. Maybe you guys can figure it out and leave a comment and let me know what that means. But the money, the bankers, as we know, is run by these people. They're diverting more of the United States cash and the West's cash into the Israeli stock market and companies related to them. What does that mean? I'm not exactly sure. Is there some other game going on in the background that I'm not aware of? Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments. But I've just given you something to go and dig into, and then maybe you can get back to me with some conspiracy theories, because conspiracy theories are always wrong, aren't they? Why isn't gold pumping? That's what I'd like to know. Gold should be pumping right now, because the escalation in what we're seeing is huge. And why is the Israeli stock market pumping? That's what I'd like to know. Anyway, I'll see you guys next video. And insiders, I'm going to make a video and tell you guys what I discovered. Juicy stuff.